Hey everyone, and welcome back to DJs in Studios Eating Cereal, my producer podcast with sweet bowls of insight from your favorite artist. I'm your host, Mesophonic, and today I'm super excited to have Nicole on our podcast today. Nicole is the owner of Black Box in Denver and is one of the key figures of bringing dubstep into the Mile High City. Well, let's dive into our conversation. Hey Nicole, thanks so much for joining me on my podcast today.
Hey, Jerome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Do you want to get started and see the cereal that I picked out for you?
Heck yeah, I do. It's one of my favorites, actually.
I picked Kicks because of your slogan, move people with sound, not hype.
Yes.
Because this doesn't have like any marshmallows, no fancy boxing. It's just simple and people love it. So
Oh, I love that. It's
you
awesome.
want to pour a
I
bowl of
thought you were
cereal?
going to talk about my rad sneaker collection, but I like that one a lot better.
You want to pour a bowl of cereal now?
I do. I just spilled my cereal all over the floor.
It tastes the best when it's got the floor stuff on it.
I know, cat hair.
Yeah, spilled milk everywhere.
We're both doing really good today.
Oh, let's take a bite.
Oh, I already did. I was hungry.
Okay.
I
You want
haven't
to
had
start with some
cake in
questions?
so long. It was so good.
I've never had it.
Ever? Oh, man.
Do you want to start with the questions now?
Okay.
So, like, how'd you get into, like, music and, like, what was your inspiration?
Geez. Well, I grew up in Philadelphia, and so as a kid, I guess I've always been into music, put it that way. You know, I just liked the way that I could connect with music and the way music had me connect with the artist. I always really liked that. I'm a people person. As far as like electronic music, growing up in Philadelphia, there was this street called South Street, and they had record stores. And you'd go into the record store, and you'd be, even prior to records, it was like tapes and CDs. We used to trade mixtapes and things like that. And so you could go into these record stores and you could buy tapes of DJ sets that were happening, and or like look through records and stuff. I always thought that was really cool, just trying to find new music and new artists and just ways to bring people together. So I think that's kind of how my whole electronic music stuff started. We would also find like, it's what we would call map points, to where you would go to, like, back when I was a kid, electronic parties, music parties were called raves, and they were illegal. So it was just really cool because you'd have to go to this like map point, and then they'd give you directions to try to get. So it was kind of like a scavenger hunt just to get to an event. It wasn't like it is now where you can just walk in the black box and have some of the dopest DJs play. So I think that really was exciting, having to try to really work for finding the music you liked.
Mm-hmm. Really, raves were illegal back then?
Yeah. I mean, raves were illegal in Colorado pretty much almost until I moved here, which was like about 20 years ago, So yeah, it was crazy. Electronic music has changed so much since then. But yeah, parties used to be illegal. Crazy, right?
Yeah, it's wild. Well, next bite, next question.
Okay.
So can you tell us about like the early days of bringing dubstep to Denver?
Yeah. So, man, 2004, 2005, 2006, kind of that era. There was a bunch of people from different cities, San Francisco, LA, myself, and New York. And we would all collaborate on this thing called Quarter Forums, which was like an old school message board talking about dubstep DJs. At the time, they were all from the UK. So we would be talking about who we'd want to bring and how we would be able to do that. And we kind of just first started doing it, you know? So it was like back in those times, you had to book certain DJs to hear certain songs. And so it wasn't like today where you walk into the club and then you hear the same song. Every DJ plays that same popular track. It was so different. So we would figure out like who we wanted to see, who had the dubs, who had the records that they could ship over, because there wasn't CDJs back then either. It was all records. And
Oh
so in
yeah.
order for them to come, we used to have to plan to ship, and there'd be four of us, so it'd just be weekends only, to ship their records over to the first city. And then once they had them, they could go on with them through city to city. But it's real heavy carrying records, right? So it was a lot more difficult than it is now. But I will say, it was a lot more fun. It was, you know, when you're doing something that you feel like it's a secret and like nobody really knows about it yet, and like it was just really exciting.
Yeah. What year was that? Like
And
2005,
the
2006.
first official submission party was 2007, but we started doing events in like 2006. How old were you in 2006?
I was not born. Born in 2012.
So by 2012, dubstep was booming in Denver, by that point, I had already done a bunch of different venues. We were at Cervantes. I think the corporations had already kind of caught on to what we had created. It was like we were throwing 1,000-person parties that no one even knew what this music was yet. It was still like such this underground thing. Like the mainstream didn't exist yet. It's crazy.
So from 2007 to 2012, there was a massive jump.
Yeah, so like 2007 was maybe, I mean, our first party, maybe we had 100 people and it totally sold out and it was really cool. But then, it was really hard back then in Denver to try to find venues, especially venues that would let you bring in a sound system, because most
Mm.
places, like that whole sound system culture that exists today where everyone's talking about function ones and stuff, that didn't even
Mhm.
exist. Those types of speakers were not in clubs. And so we would have to walk, I'd have to like literally go into different bars and venues and be like, can you please let me throw a party? Like it would be amazing if you could let me bring in speakers and like throw music, play music. And so it kind of gradually grew into different venues and stuff. But by 2012, we were definitely selling out, Cervantes. I think we were probably starting to do Ogden parties by then as well. So it was definitely massive.
Was the black box there at that
Nope.
time?
Nope, not yet. So in 2000, Black Box turns 8 this year. So 2019, Black Box opened.
Wow, that's 8 years since 2019 is crazy.
Crazy, right? Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. 2012 is when I started the agency. There was just so many DJs at that point coming over from the UK and stuff that like it had to become more serious. So there's like a thing called a visa that people from out of the country need to perform and to make money in America. Prior to
Mhm.
that, it wasn't even a serious thing. Like no one knew what dubstep was in the big picture. But then as soon as it really started taking off, it was like it really took off, especially in Denver. We're definitely
Yeah,
the bass capital. That's for sure.
yeah. It's cool to live in like the city that's known for dubstep.
Yeah, it is.
Next bite, next question.
Yeah. One thing I like about kicks is how when you take them out, they kind of all stick together like some type of molecule in science.
It's stuck on my finger.
That's what I'm talking about.
Speaking of the black box, like
Hmm.
what are the benefits and challenges of like running the independent venue?
Well, I would say the benefits are definitely being able to do whatever I want to do. It's always nice to have freedom, and to really be able to stick to like my ethos and my motto and to my gut. It's like I always, when I started Sub.Mission and the whole moving people through sound thing, it's definitely a personal. It's definitely about no hype. It's definitely about the music, no frills, the connection. And so to be able to have a venue that, number one, I can keep the sound system in and not have to lug it around anymore. I can treat the room with the sound system in it, so that way I can make it sound the best that it can every single night, and that I can bring in artists who I feel fit the mission, really are there for the music, really want to share what they have and appreciate what they're doing. And it kind of just is able to like be an extension of like what Sub.Mission what it is about, to have a home base. So challenges, I'll tell you, there's a lot of them. I mean, challenges, it's very expensive to own a business, especially in Denver, especially these days with inflation. It is, some of the things that really made it most difficult for me was like worrying about people all the time, having a place now where hundreds of people come every night. It can kind of like, it makes me worry about them because I care about people and I want everyone to be okay, and so like you never know what will happen, and so that can kind of be a worry. In Denver, challenge is that it's very oversaturated here, which means there's a lot of venues and there's a lot of DJs playing dubstep everywhere. So there's a lot of competition, whether it's harder to get DJs to come and play, or maybe you have the dopest show booked ever, but then there's this big Red Rocks show and some other big thing at Mission Ballroom, and it just separates the crowd. So it can kind of make it hard to get the numbers you need sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest challenge is just, making sure that I have the right staff all the time, the right people, the right vibe, and just keeping things the way, keeping it simple.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever have to like plan when you see other shows to like make that show a different day?
Yeah, a lot.
More people.
Yeah, definitely a lot. So one of the things that we do is we have like an event calendar. And so every time that we see an event come up or we know about an event because of the agency or something like that, we put it on this calendar. And so when I'm booking the talent, I definitely look at that calendar to try to avoid as much competition as possible. The one thing we're lucky about is that we all are a smaller venue, which basically means we don't have to depend on so many tickets to, it's not like the Mission where we have to sell 4,000 tickets. We only have 350 caps. So, but it's definitely challenging, and you definitely have to be organized in order to be successful, for sure.
I have just another question I just came up with.
Yeah.
Like how is it like having two rooms? Like having two people play at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually like one of the big reasons I wanted the black box, because I think it's really important to support the local culture. And at one point everyone starts, like a lot of people are really pushing a certain sound, a certain genre. And so to be able to provide a space to different local crews who put on for their city is really important for me. And so it makes running the lounge really fun. And then we do the headliners and stuff in the main room. So that way it can kind of have two things going on at once. And just, that you've been to the black box because of the setup. People have to walk from the main room to the patio. So they always get a chance to check out the locals too, which I also think exposure is so important.
Yeah, we all start somewhere.
Yeah, totally. Exactly.
Next bite. Next question.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice that you would give to like up and coming producers like myself?
Yes. Stay true to what you're about. The music that you like. It's most important that you like what you're doing and that the music that you're making is for yourself, because that is what's going to make you feel the best. And if you really want to connect to the crowd and you want the crowd to connect to you through your music, we need to believe that you love it, right? We need to feel
Mhm.
that you love it. And as long as you are doing you, there is nothing and nobody that can get in your way.
Wow, that was kind of crazy. You just like came up with that on the spot. So crazy.
I
That's
think
really good.
it's so true, like it really it's how I am with submission. Like I think people believe in submission because they see that I love it and that it is what I mean from the bottom of my heart. The black box is built from my heart. Like if you could take a venue and take everything from like what I truly believe in, that's what it is, and like I just genuinely believe that like music is here. Music is here to heal, and it heals yourself. It heals other people. It connects people together. It builds a community. Look at all the big artists. They have a community, right? It's people who believe in them, people who support them. It's because they feel it. They believe in them themselves,
Mhm. That was super good advice. Like
Thanks.
one of my friends, he like changed his music because of what other people thought,
Yeah.
and then he wasn't happy anymore.
Yeah, that's
So I
that's
think
totally
that
it.
would have really helped him.
Yeah. And that's it. And I think it's really hard these days because you see what I like to call manufactured superstars. You see these people who are playing these crazy big shows in these big rooms, but they don't care. Where did they come from? They have no foundation, they have no history. You can tell that they don't like what they're doing up there. You don't feel connected, or it's just the same thing every single show, like it's
Mhm.
so easy to see and think, oh God, that guy's playing this big show, I need to do what he's doing or she's doing. But that's actually the opposite. I think that if you want longevity in your career, which I think personally is more important than, coming in with one tune that all of a sudden blows you up, then you have to live up to that standard, have longevity and consistency to where you're doing what you want to do. And that might change. Your sound might change as you get older, and that's okay. As long as you believe in what you're doing, you're going to love it. And as long as you love it, we're going to love it. So,
Yeah.
but I think it's scary. The music industry is a scary place,
Mhm.
it's crazy, but as
It's
long
like
as
a
you
whole
just,
different world.
it is a whole different world, that's for sure. But it's in any world, if you stay true to yourself and you believe in yourself, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast with me today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Should
Well,
we finish this bowl of cereal or what?
I mean, we could do like a speed run.
Can
3, 2, 1. Go. No, I'm just kidding.
I ask you a question?
Hmm.
What's the most exciting thing you got coming up, or what is the one thing that you're working hard to do for yourself?
I'm really working hard to get my set list completed. It just fell off your
Did you
screen.
did you see that bounce out of my?
I'm really working hard to get my set list for the mid show that you set me up with.
Mm-hmm.
To be as perfect as I can get it,
Cool.
because that's the biggest show that I've ever played. So
Yeah.
I want to make it the best one.
Cool. And I think it'll be the best one because you're excited about
Mhm.
it and you're good at what you do. And I think people are really excited to see you play. So don't
I'm
be
really
nervous.
excited.
Good. Good.
I'm not nervous on stage, but like I'll talk in front of all the people on the mic, and
Yeah.
then when the teacher tells me to talk in front of the class, nope, not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Funny. I'm the opposite. I was a teacher and I could talk in front of my classroom and speak at speeches and do what I have to do. But if I have to go up on stage, I feel like I'm going to throw up.
Thanks again for coming on today.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Well, you have a great rest of your day.
All right, you too. Bye, Jerome.
See ya. Thanks for tuning in today, guys, and being part of our podcast. Don't forget to check out the links below to follow Nicole and me on socials. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel to see more conversations like this. Until next time, keep the music playing and the cereal pouring.